Statistics, don't you guys? Let's head over to Clubhouse. Of course, the second time tonight. Earlier we had Q confirmed versus Order. That was very one-sided. I don't sense this is going to be one-sided. It's certainly a possibility. It always is, especially in the APAC South region. But as it was labeled on the desk, this is Stage 1 versus Stage 2 champions. This is generally best versus best. This is the kind of match you circle on the fixture, guys. But both teams, of course, have struggled here for Stage 3.
A slight change up in defensive, or rather attacking bans here from the Knights. Based on their history on Clubhouse, they typically actually ban out the Maverick, so a bit of a change up there. I'm assuming that's directly to target Elevate. Very aggressive, willing to bring those Candelas into the server. So I like that change from the Knights in terms of Elevate. Thatcher taken down, and that's pretty expected here on such a structured map.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much would be surprised actually at this point if we don't see a Thatcher ban. By far and away the most banned operator. Well, my banned out as well, and Knights will get the final ban here. But looking ahead, of course, for the Knights, if they do lose this game, guys, that's top 4 done for them. Valkyrie, pretty much stock standard bans here for Clubhouse. So it must win territory. I don't know about the OT, of course. If they do get an OT win in this match against Elevate, probably does still keep their chances alive, but it would be the slimmest of margins. So really all 3 points must be acquired. And fortunately for them, I have tipped them tonight, and I am 2-0. So hopefully Knights can make it 3-0.
Yeah, an OT win makes things very, very interesting. A lot of math that would have to be run, and I do not have the brain capacity to run such simulations. So if you are a Knights fan and you want to see this team in the APAC playoffs fighting for their chance to go to the Sweden Major, hopefully as well secure enough points to really lock in that 6 invitational spot as well in 2022, you are praying for a 3-pointer here. A regulation win is very, very critical and will set themselves up with a chance to close it out in the next Playday, but no doubt going to be very, very close.
Yeah, and even with 3 points, guys, it's not actually a given either. Technically speaking, yes, they need to win this game 3 points, and they will need to win Playday 7 3 points, but they also would then need results to go their way. It kind of highlights how far Knights have fallen here for Stage 3. Only the 5 points gained from the first 5 Playdays. They need to pick up all 3 here desperately. As we head into this game, though, of course, for Elevate, probably haven't spoken too much about them, currently in 3rd place. An opportunity to actually leapfrog into that top spot. Obviously still dependent on the Chiefs versus IG game to come after this.
Yeah, and the storyline as well for Elevate is that they are officially the champions of APAC South for this year in terms of the seasonal standings. They currently sit at 39 points, and the closest team heading into this Playday was, funnily enough, the Knights on 31 points. And with there only being 6 points on offer for either of those teams remaining, that means that they can't be beaten. So that's a cool stat there for you. Elevate doesn't really count for all that much, really. They just secure their position in the league, but a fun fact nonetheless. And I mean, yeah, they haven't been super duper dominant, although the seasonal standings might suggest that, which again, a testament to how close some of these stages really have been.
So Elevate's going to be on the attack first, of course. Knights on the defense. Looks like Cash and CCTV is going to be our first sight. Little bit of a roam game with Dino on the Vigil. Don't see that too often, especially on a site like this, guys. But for the Knights, if they are going to win this, they probably do need to mix things up slightly. So a bit of an extension over towards bedroom at the moment here from the Knights. Players still at rafters as well.
One of the more frustrating minigames that will need to be contended with is the Maverick trick. Shotgunned out by the defense in preparation for said trick, which makes life a little bit more challenging for Sapper. But it looks like he's actually done a really good job to cleanly open up top of the breach. The bottom will no doubt follow as DCH playing the buck on the rappel will hold down the line. Now the wall will need to be pinged out. There's still a little bit still attached. Quite dangerous for Sapper as he crosses to get it open. Couple more attempts. He hasn't quite gotten it just yet. Oh no, I think he's failed it. Surely that will be enough. It is. Unfortunately, he gets away with his life.
And time needs to be noted here as well. 1.5 minutes remaining in the round for Elevate already. So much time wasted on this CC wall. Kind of then insinuates that it's going to probably be that sort of CC wall garage take from them, which for the Knights is probably fine. Especially with Hayward still up above. Has those ADSs to protect himself. Of course, no well, my Magnus either to help out that situation. Napier very aggressive with the angle actually being held there. Josh could potentially find the opening pick with this sort of position inside a cache. Good little angle. And he does land a tag onto Napier. That's the adrenal surge though. From Onigiri to heal him back up. Suddenly only 40 seconds remaining.
Yeah, I'm really not too sure what the play here is for Elevate. Stacked outside the breach, they might just need to try and send it, find trades, and get that plant down at default. But so many of these strongholds, garage, con, etc., all very well held here by the Knights. So this will be a really tricky execute.
Under 30 seconds remaining, still Rafters control as well for the Knights. Good start, but it's Nerix who finds the opening pick. Hayward though with that position, got one back, immediately traded. The push up Rafter stairs has now been completed for Elevate, makes it a 3 versus 2 with that second kill now from Nerix. Top red control still established for the Knights, but they just keep losing these fights every single time. Juicy inside a cache, can't stop anything. Elevate just slice and dice their way over to the site, and they will be able to take this opening round.
Time management there from Elevate. Pretty poor for most of that round, but they made up for it in the execute. They were able to overwhelm Garage, then overwhelm Site. They backed themselves in to win those ones, and Nerix over towards the CC window to kick things off really did help propel the team forward. And that was just a really good display of when Elevator switched on, what they can bring into the server. That sort of tie aggression, that flair, can make up for some of the mistakes early in the round, or some of the issues maybe that they did encounter, especially opening that breach took a lot of time, and then droning outside, etc. But they dealt with some of that utility quite nicely, followed that up with guns up, and they made it work, putting a lot of pressure on the defense.
So over to Gym Bedroom. Wasn't the worst round, I think, from the Knights. Really just couldn't quite compete. Firepower for firepower. Elevate were able to gain that Rafters control by just basically overwhelming it. They traded for it, though, as well. There was only 1 for 1, but once they established that, the late game was all in their favor, and Knights just started to capitulate. Don't think the Vigil really made too much of an emphasis either defensively for the Knights. Dino now onto the mirror instead. Shield top red. Early placement here, and of course, pretty normal extension over towards Cache CCTV for this Gym Bedroom site.
Extension across here, which will be bolstered by the mirror. Dino actually placing one on Casual facing into CC, makes that a little bit trickier to enter. And then also the second inside of Bathroom facing Jacuzzi, as that wall will inevitably get blown open. I don't know where the 2 electric cores have been used. Okay, so one on that mirror and Bathroom, the second on exterior con to try and make those positions a little bit more tricky to open up. Again, that means that Jacuzzi is likely going to be exposed quite early, and CC as well, but those mirrors in the background will pose a threat.
Loading new magazine! No time to waste.
Nerix going for a very early opening of the Jacuzzi wall, and it's not going to be contested at all by the Knights. That is opened up immediately, and it gives Elevate a lot of time now to start working on the more eastern side here of Clubhouse, and logistics control, pushing through con eventually, flushing out those players inside a cache that don't have to worry about Jacuzzi. And obviously now Nerix rotates all the way over to CC wall. He'll get that opened up, and then they can now start trying to clear out players like Josh and Dino.
Yeah, I'm really keen to see how Elevate deal with CC. That mirror on the board's going to be tough. I think the best way of approaching this from an attacking point of view would be to send someone down below in stock and actually clear it vertically. They don't have Bark, they also don't have Sledge, so that could be tricky. Nades are in hand if they want to send Sapper below, but that has its own risks as well.
Roteros maybe?
Potentially, yeah.
Could be an option. Well, the time is somewhat on the side of Knights, minute and a half remaining, but it's Onigiri who finds the opening pick actually onto Josh. So that's 1 of 2 players that's already been flushed out. And Dino's pinched here. Player top red. I don't see he's going to be able to get out, so he swings instead. Choice well made for Dino. Finds the kill. A couple have already fallen for Elevate as well. Knights are able to find a few picks. Player outside onto the balcony. Dino's watching Diffuser as well. That CC wall. Holding this position nicely. Still has that Nitrocell, by the way. And Napier has been down on the Diffuser. Nerix is the only one up. Dino has played a perfect defensive game here.
Eric's now in the 1v3, needs to make up for his team's misfortune. Dino doing such a fantastic job to hold that position. He should have been dead. Yeah, he 100% should have died, but Nerix now left to clutch up, but it's Dino. How fitting to close out the round.
How fitting indeed. He made the educated guess that he had to push into CC there to find that kill, to reposition, knowing there was a player top red, had the player in con, then cover him. Through that rotational hole, they get that kill, and suddenly Elevate have just given up everything, and it all just fell to pieces. Well defended by the Knights. I thought that could have gone for Elevate's sake. They definitely struggled in dealing with that mirror.
Yeah, some issues there with the grenade play. They didn't send anyone below. They instead tried to go for it horizontally. Nades being sent out through the Kendall's wall and in CC itself. Now, Sapper, I believe, downed himself, so took his life away, and then the rest of the grenades from Onigiri not quite hitting the mark. So Dino arguably, you know, a little bit lucky maybe to get away with that. If Elevate's micro was on point, they would have naded him out quite easily, as the projectile denial wasn't really there in support. But either way, he made the most of an opportunity. He handled himself really well. There was a lot of pressure on him, a lot of noise being made, no doubt a lot of calls being made by his team as well. So doing a great job to juggle all of that, and doing a really good job as well to close out the round.
10 seconds to go.
So back over to Cash and CCTV. Now, second opportunity here for the Knights to defend it. Of course, Elevate were able to successfully take it in the opening round of this match. It wasn't clean though, Guz, and time was definitely somewhat of an issue. Elevate had to push sort of late round. They sent a lot of players towards rafters. They traded that pretty easy and quickly. And obviously for the Knights, that's something to sort of note. The other thing to note is also the Vigil. Dino's going back onto it. Now, of course, he probably is feeling himself after that last round, so he's going to give it another go. But I didn't find that it had that much of an impact in the opening round. We'll see if he's able to adjust here second go around.
Yeah, last time we saw Elevate get stalled out of Kennel's wall quite a bit, meaning that they weren't really roam clearing, weren't really sweeping the western side of the map, so Dino was always going to have a pretty limited impact. We might see a change of attack pattern here from Elevate. They're probably not too confident in the way in which they did successfully win that previous round, as it was a little bit 50-50 on the execute. So we are going to see an adaptation here. DCH and Napier both poised on the western side of the map. Pings go through. Napier unable to collect that kill though onto Josh. Narrowly misses that shot. A good drone from Elevate, but unable to capitalize.
Yeah, never one there though. I think that you're going to be expecting it. It's almost one of those ones that can just happen if things go the way, but not to be. Sapper gets to work on this CC wall. Again though, time somewhat questionable here, that it's still taking this long for this wall to be opened up. Usually it's around, what, minute 50, 2 minutes generally on a good run. DCH seeing if anyone wants to peek, and he's got this open finally. Minute 25. But again, is this going to play out in a similar manner to the opening round, where Elevate just eventually are forced to send it?
Could well be the case, and that means that both Sage and Hayward, particularly over towards Garage, are going to play a pivotal role in the Knights' ability to hold out this push, but Elevate rotating elsewhere. Now, we did see exterior con breached earlier. They might go for a con rotation. Nerix still has an exothermic to open up that wall from con in towards Cash, if they so desire. Instead, he's going to place that bottom garage. So again, I think Hayward and Sage are going to be key players in this round for the Knights.
Yeah, Sage is definitely the key player though. If he loses his life, then that's going to allow Garage to be taken. Hayward will be somewhat by himself, because there's so many players from Knights that have extended over towards, you know, bedroom, for example, or top main stairs. They will then have to sort of fall back over towards site, which then means Elevate can actually establish a decent Garage position. Now, somehow, Juicy has been downed top red through that nade. DCH with the opening pick. Now on to Josh. Sage needs to get involved here. He's just lost his player up in rafters. That's Hayward down. Ooh. Sage can't have any impact. None of the Knights can have an impact. It's a flawless execution.
That was really clean. Elevate on that side are looking great. If I'm Knights, I'm not going back there. Nope. Unless you are going to completely change up how you are holding Garage, investing more utility, playing slightly different positions perhaps, it's really not worth the risk. I think that basement bedroom now needs to be what they fall back to. If you need to end up going to CC, so be it. You could even give Bar a bit of a test, as that is now workable in this current form of Clubhouse. But I think at this point we've seen two great examples from Elevate. Despite not being the fastest on the breach, they are so snappy at that execute. They are winning these ones with such aggression and confidence. There's not really much the Knights have been able to respond with.
I think even highlighting the positioning of Sage, not that his positioning was necessarily wrong, but just didn't take that step forward, never looked confident, with the approach as to what the Knights really wanted to do. Hayward just gets kind of left dry up in rafters. They're trying to do some sort of extension over towards, you know, top main logistics and bedroom, but all of the pressure and the attacking from Elevate is coming through Garage and CC Wall. So you start to question a little bit of the defensive positioning there of the Knights, and they just get caught. They lose the player top red, and it all just sort of falls apart. Well played to Elevate, and so far I think in the opening 3 rounds, by far and away the better team when it's coming down to sort of that raw fragging potential. Knights have not really been able to deal with that, and so far the only round they have won was Jim Bedroom, where of course it all came down to Dino and what he was able to achieve on that mirror. We head downstairs though for the first time, surprisingly. Church Arsenal into the 4th round is somewhat rare. Usually it's a bit of a staple for the defensive teams, but nevertheless, Knights do finally head down here, and it's somewhat of a must-win. Otherwise, this could start to get ugly.
Okay, this is really aggressive from Knights. They're using the electro claws upstairs on reinforcements, not on the hatches. At least one of those claws was used on bathroom, and as we can see there, dirt left soft, so that's a potential point of interest that Elevate may look to exploit. Dino up above on the vert is watching down in towards kitchen, making that a little bit more precarious, and with all those hatches popped and those Elevate prismers in place, it does allow him to go for rotations and make life a little bit uncomfortable here for Elevate if they do decide to go for the room clear. But that's really the question that needs to be answered. Do Elevate try and exploit some of the weaknesses perhaps that are on site, or do they try and find these players up above?
Yeah, and it kind of forces them a little bit to do this top-down clear. Onigiri expecting the peek through. The nade could be absolutely pivotal here onto Josh. No, it misses entirely. He'll hold that top red position. Sage lurking down below. Over in blue, and they still haven't really been able to flush out Dino or Josh roaming up above. Just under a minute 50 remaining though, and so far you'd have to say for the Knights it is slowly working out, simply because Elevate have just kind of stalled their attack trying to deal with these roamers.
Yeah, I feel like Elevate are kind of in a place right now where they're still working out exactly how they want to approach site. This setup is something that looks pretty fresh, and it's not often you see much innovation on Clubhouse. So Elevate, I think, at the moment, just trying to compose themselves and actually commit to a particular push. There's still so many roamers up above. Dino in particular in such a great position. If he isn't dealt with, this could spell disaster.
Yeah, and Dino doesn't necessarily need to rotate back to site. He definitely doesn't even have much of a chance unless he goes through, I guess, main stairs. But at this point, there's a minute and 5 seconds remaining. Elevate, for example, haven't necessarily even done anything in, say, kitchen. The only thing that I think they've really got is that opening through dirt, for instance. They haven't been able to get any kills onto the roamers. This has been, by and large, a big win so far for the Knights. And for Dino, of course, holding this bathroom position with the electrode wall, with that mirror window. So much information is now being gathered above. And look at the time, 45 seconds. Remembering, of course, this is Church and Arsenal. There is not much time remaining here for Elevate.
This is not Jim Bedroom. Dino doing such a great job on the roam. He is surely going to be killed. Is Neku down. Josh elsewhere does find the pick, but he will down himself as well. That leaves us in a 4 versus 3. The Finker Adrenal gets the pickup, but yeah, they've only got 20 seconds left. Knights, they win this round. Yeah. Unless Onigiri can go for a big play. He could actually be someone that goes up big here. If he drops blue, finds a couple of picks, and Hayward doesn't get that kill, maybe they can pull it off.
He's got one more Adrenal Surge. He activates it now. It's go time for Elevate, but Sage is watching, waiting, loses. In fact, it's a 1-for-1 trade. Elevate now up 3-2, but it's Hayward gets one onto Onigiri. 2 seconds left, no time available. Round is going to go the way of the Knights. Sapper on that diffuser, but is denied by Juicy. Well played, well executed from the Knights.
This is a big game for the Knights, and I think that round there really illustrates that it is. That is a strat that, at least to the best of my knowledge, which again may be clouded, I don't think I've seen a setup as extravagant as that. Using electro claws to hold bathroom, having the double roam up above, and for it to be so effective was just really beautiful to see. Now, many could sit back and say, well, Elevate played it like bots. And to be honest, they didn't play it as great as they probably could have, but in the face of something new like that, in an official, it can be quite overwhelming. Elevate, I still think for the majority of that round, we're still trying to work out exactly what they wanted to do. They had so many players in different parts of the map trying to connect into something larger, and it really just did not work. The most teamwork we saw was when they all flooded in and eventually killed Dino. But by that point, there was only 30 seconds left in the round. So props has to go to the Knights to be able to pull that off.
Yeah, and obviously Clubhouse is a map that probably doesn't see that much innovation these days, guys. But you do have to question, I guess, if Elevate had their time again, do you somewhat ignore those two top floor and go for a sort of 5-on-3 rush on site, on a site like Church Arsenal? And if you can do that, how do you do that, etc.? Do you push in through blue, for instance? But yeah, it's one that the Knights themselves now have actually put out there into the world, and I think you probably wanted to say something along the lines of, that's the kind of strat you hide, right?
Yep.
When we talk about strats that get hidden and you're like, oh, you know, they're hiding strats, that's probably one of them, right? We don't see that too often from the Knights. So, and it does indicate how important this match is. This is a must win. They must get all 3 points from this game. It's not 2, it's not 1, it's all 3 points. So for the Knights, they have to bring out all the stops, and obviously you kind of want to bring out all the stops. If you're not winning a site like Cash and CCTV, that makes Church, Arsenal, Gym Bedroom must wins, as we do in fact head back to Gym and Bedroom.
Yeah, for sure. Couldn't have said it better. We'll have to see how Elevate deal with a somewhat similar setup in the sense that Bathroom's going to be fortified with that mirror window. CCTV, as we saw last time, Elevate really struggled to clear as well. So there's a lot of things that can be tuned here by Elevate. I'm looking at them to really use grenades better. Now, Onigiri setting up that drone down below indicates to me that he's actually going to clear that mirror window from down below. And this is the adaptation that's so nice to see. If Onigiri pulls this off, the Knights' plan could fall into disarray.
So far back and forth between these two teams, 1 for 1 over the first 4 rounds, and well, it's a tantalizing matchup, and maybe we're getting the just desserts of it. Onigiri was not successful last time with this nade into Cash, and unfortunately, like last time, again, not successful. Ooh, neither is the second go of things. So Dino, though, buried low, at least does take some damage. But Onigiri, maybe not as proficient with the nades, but with the LMGs able to find that kill onto Sage. Was traded immediately, though, by Juicy. Makes it 4 versus 4 with a minute and a half remaining.
It's really great teamwork from the Knights to pull off that trade, but Dino's still under so much pressure. Napier.
He doesn't know.
Oh, he wants to swing, but he misses the shots. Eventually, we'll clean that up, though. Dino can't survive on this occasion. Juicy elsewhere will find a second rotating down below main stairs. That's the second time he's done that in this round.
3 versus 3. Yeah, just for a brief moment there, I don't think Dino understood that a player had pushed into CC and just gets caught a little bit there trying to rotate back through Con, and allowed, obviously, Elevate to now establish themselves position inside of Cash. Now they can get to work trying to get into construction as well, and then Bedroom after that. 50 seconds remaining. We've got ourselves another close round between these two teams.
One more deployable shield on the bed that likely will need to be clear, util available for Elevate to achieve that goal, as Juicy is going to be the next target. No one able to really support him as Josh is desperately rotating to maybe find that rotation. Needs to be careful though. Nerek's on the rappel could pose a threat. Napier as well, holding down the line in towards Bathroom. Yeah, Hayward is pinched, but they still have decent positions here. I think Knights likely have the advantage here with 20 seconds left. Oh, this is big though. Oh, Juicy, he's been stunned. I don't think he can hold this now.
Oh, Sepper's down though. That's Diffuser on the floor, and there's not that much time here in red time. They need to get the trades. Napier loses out. Juicy now 3 for the round. Nerek's in a 1 versus 3. Got one, couldn't get any more. Knights 2 win out in the end.
I really thought that Juicy was going to be in strife there, stunned out, but unfortunately Elevate not quite expecting the rat strap there under the desk, and Juicy able to pull that one off. Had he not have won that, had he have died, that round really could have gone the other way. So an incredibly close one there for Elevate, but Knights with a little bit of a cheeky play there and a nice 3k from Juicy, at least a 3k from Juicy, enough to secure that one.
Yeah, and that was a much needed round for the Knights, because there was a real opportunity that Elevate could have made this a 4-2 attacking half, going over to now Cash and CCTV for the 3rd time. So far, Knights have not been successful in defending it whatsoever. So at least they've got that buffer, they've got that 3, so at worst case scenario, 3-3 half, not that bad. But for the Knights, this is the opportunity here where you can actually rectify those losses earlier on this site, fix up your mistakes, which honestly there's not really, I guess, that many actual mistakes. I think the biggest thing for me, guys, is sort of the lack of firepower over towards Garage and maybe too much of an emphasis over towards Bedroom.
Yeah, potentially. But to be honest, I'm more focused on this objective. I am somewhat surprised that the Knights are sending us back here. I think that the last 2 times they attempted this, they just got absolutely...
Well, where else are they going to go?
Honestly, at this point, bar. It is viable. It's been used in... it's been put off in other regions. I'm guessing that the Knights really just don't have a strat for it at the end of the day. That might not be the case. Maybe, again, they just don't feel totally comfortable on that objective. But the way in which Elevate have won the last 2 rounds has been near identical. And on both occasions, the Knights just haven't had an answer. If we see the same thing 3 times in a row, then I'm going to be really, really annoyed, because they did have the option to at least maybe try something a little bit different.
Well, hopefully for the Knights' sake, they've been able to learn from their mistakes. Yeah, nothing early there. And Elevate hasn't necessarily been a team to play this site in a hurried manner. It's always been the last 30, 40 seconds of the round. They obviously slowly get to work on these walls. Nerix generally has the most work to do as the Thermite. Sapper generally will get to work on the CC wall. But how, again, are Elevate just constantly finding such early opening picks here on Cash and CCTV? It's happened every single time.
Feeling some deja vu right now. Even the time management here for Elevate's similar, if not actually a little bit quicker. So concerning signs here for the Knights, as Kennels is now soft, and once again DCH with the skeleton key in hand will be able to open
A bomb has been located.
Now, do Elevate commit to Garage once again? The last 2 times they've pulled it off extremely successfully. Hayward and Sage, the 2 players that were holding both rafters and the mini stairs in towards lobby,
Bomb
got
located by
absolutely deleted. Now Sage not actually holding that position this time. Instead, it's Hayward on the lonesome extension, which means that Sage must be playing elsewhere.
What is
inside of Con?
Con? Nah, needs to seriously play that position he did last time, down towards Lounge, or just needs to be aggressive.
It depends if Elevate, how they read into this. I think the response from the attack is going to be more critical than the current positions from the defenders. The Knights, where they are now, can win out this round.
Well, they can.
But if Elevate,
But they're not
Hayward, yeah, it's just...
So that's Dino down in Con, just sitting there.
Yeah, they shouldn't have gone this side.
Well, unfortunately for the Knights, it's all falling apart once again on Cash and CCTV. At least 1 kill from Juicy, but Sage loses his life. 4 versus 2. Hayward still at least top rafters, position established, and Juicy on site with 3 gas babes available. But Nerix inside of Con now. He can actually open up this wall as well. Napier pushing top red. It's not really occupied by the Knights, really, although the gas babe from Juicy can kind of do the job. Sapper now inside of Con as well, and the pressure's just ultimately mounting. Juicy, he's feeling the offensive for the moment. Hayward, he loses his fight in rafters. Onigiri gets the second there. 2 quick kills in succession, and for Elevate, it ended up being deja vu to their benefit.
And that sets us up for a potentially very deflating storyline for the Knights here. If they lose this match and lose the ability to make playoffs, and that is off the back of losing a site 3 times on the defense, that is going to be heartbreaking. Now, on the basis of statistics, etc., many will say that, hey, they should have still gone there, probably more successful over Bar, and hey, you're probably right, but I still think at that point, Elevate had that attack so down pat, and again, 3 times in a row, the Knights had 0 response. So that one could come back to haunt them, but the salvaging thing for them, the saving grace, if you would, is it's still a 3-3 scoreline, so they're not in a terrible position. And assuming that they don't have a crutch site on the attack, they should be okay.
3-3 half is not end of the world, at least. Knights themselves, they're a decent team on the attack. The thing that worries me at the moment, though, more than anything, is when you think of Knights, you think of who are their best players, who are their best fraggers. And generally, the 2 that come to mind is Josh and Sage. They're 1 and 6, literally both of them. That's not going to get you many wins. If your 2 best players, your 2 best fraggers, the guys that generally are going to be racking up the kills and winning rounds, are having a sort of game like this. In a do-or-die match, they need to pick it up in the second half here on the attack for the Knights.
Attackers have discovered the location of a bomb.
Mira once again in play here on the defense for Elevate. A very prominent operator that we've seen so far in this game. A new addition though in the Echo from Sapper might be able to gain some more information on particularly some of these extensions, and it's an aggressive extension at that, with a deployable shield in exchange for the mirror window that we actually saw there from the Knights facing in towards CC. So already slightly different approaches here from both teams, but one thing stays the same, and that is the Maverick trick on Kennel's wall.
I feel like it's on the Knights, though, to dictate the tempo, innovate themselves a little bit here on the attack, as they kind of did with that Church Arsenal hold. You do something a little bit different. You kind of throw that spanner in the works, and suddenly Elevate get caught off guard momentarily. You win the round, and that's the Knights that we need to see here on the attack. Can they bring it on the attack, though, remains to be seen. Elevate themselves are no pushovers. And Sapper on the Echo as well. I kind of like this as something we don't see too often as of recency, but it's something we used to see quite a lot of. It may just throw the Knights off just ever so slightly.
Hayward cooks a grenade inside of Con. Can he find Sapper? Oh, doesn't quite. That looked a lot closer on the other end than it must have been. Juicy, though, takes himself down with a grenade. That's the second time we've seen that in this matchup. First it was Sapper, now it's Juicy. DCH playing the Dido position as Sage elsewhere with the AK finds one to bring it to a 4 versus 4.
And Josh has literally no health available either. Big that Sage was able to find a kill back, though, and at least just sort of rattle back some of that momentum and keep it in that kind of stalemate fashion. Obviously, Sapper understanding there's a DCH, he just gets antsy. He's like, we will take back top red, it's ours once again. Sage was loitering there for too long, and they flushed him out. Still have that Vulcan shield to play off as well, but Josh finds an angle perfectly from CC through Cash into top red. Finds that kill, makes it 3 versus 3, and there's still time as well. 50 seconds remaining is plenty, and the remaining Elevate players back on site, except for Napier.
Goes for a roam. Oh, that Nitro could be huge. Oh, it hits the mark onto Dino. Josh narrowly survives as well with a slither of HP.
Well, he had that health already, so he's actually very fortunate he didn't die to the explosion radius.
Onigiri needs to turn around, now caught in the pinch as Josh is holding down that line. Very difficult positions that the Knights find themselves in.
20 seconds remaining here in the round. Elevate with the advantage. Napier does take a bit of damage, but they have information. Josh, he will swing anyway. Don't count him out. Now in a 1 versus 2, though, Onigiri, well placed. Once again, 2 rounds in a row. But Onigiri finds the last 2 kills.
A good start there from Elevate on the defensive half. They go to the offsite, they pull it off, and in a confident fashion at that. I mean, Napier had balls of steel going for a roam that late into the round to hit a Nitro cell, and it paid dividends. Had the Knights navigated past that, hit site, and forced a retake from him, again, could have been a different story. And it's been a lot of moments in this match so far where there's kind of been that one player, and you look at it and you go, if it goes Elevate's way, they win the round. If it goes the Knights' way, they win the round. It has been really, really tight.
And I think that's the best way to exemplify the difference between a great team and a kind of good team, right? A good team would probably just have Napier rotate back to site defensively, hold a position, like Logistics, for example. Instead, Elevate send him to find that pick inside a Cache, knowing that they're making that push into Con, and at least if he's already down below, make one last play. Go for it. You've got that Nitro cell. You can go for it. If you miss it, that's fine. You can still rotate back to site anyway. It's not the end of the world. But when it's that clock ticking down, Elevate, and that's, you know, that pressure environment, that cooker pressure environment, still to make that call to send him there. It wins the round ultimately, and for Elevate, they deserve it. And so far, the score line might be 4-3, but it feels like Elevate are just winning this convincingly, despite only the 1 round difference.
And a lot of that has hinged on the objective that we will now visit in round number 8. It's CCTV and Cash. Elevate on their attacks looked so damn good on this objective. Can they replicate that form, though, on their defense? We're already seeing 2 very spicy deployable shields. The one here in Cash facing towards Con to protect the breach. I can only assume someone's going to try and play that close. Potentially maybe even Nerix if he's trying to juggle the Nitro Claw. I'm not exactly sure what the play will be there. And of course the other one over towards Garage Rafters to make that more of a difficult position to push as well. Aruni Gates as well being brought out by Onigiri to soak up a little bit more of this utility from the Knights, and it's shaping up to be another pivotal round.
And this is also an opportunity for Elevate to start to pull ahead now and take a bit of a 5-3 lead and put the pressure on the Knights. I would even say that if Elevate win this round, probably attack timeout from the Knights would follow, because it would probably have that feeling that it's starting to get away from them. This was a Very important round. Onigiri top rafters. He's been playing very well, but he, I think, overestimates himself there. No reason to peek that early into the round. Sage finds the kill. Onigiri gets shut down. He's been playing amazing, guys, but he makes a mistake there.
Has Sage spotted Napier here over towards Oil Pit? That's a key question. And Sage, does he have the answer? If not, he's probably going to die. Oh, the timing's terrible, but Napier manages to find that pick. Brings it back to a 4v4.
It's just those little moments that keep going the way of Elevate. They've always got that sort of, you know, ace up the sleeve, that they've got that next play that even if the Knights do something, like say clear Onigiri top rafters, they've still got that play at Oil Pit that can get one back. Suddenly now it's 4 versus 4. You know, they let go of that Vulcan shield. Josh though finds the pick onto DCH, and this gives Knights now the advantage with a minute remaining.
Vulcan Shield's being juggled here by Napier, facing where the push is coming from. Smart play from him, fortifying that position. And you can see Elevate backs literally against the wall here. But they have 2 Nitros and maybe some Yokai in play as well to try and deny the plant.
Yeah, still some big positions here held, but ultimately for the Knights, they're able to push in, get this diffuser down through Juicy. 2 seconds. Nerix now gets antsy. He pushes forward. Nitro Salt's too late. That plant has already gone down. Juicy's now gone back. Top rafters control, of course, established for the Knights so they can watch it here. Josh can also now get onto this Candles Wall position. Knights in a really good, you know, post-plant position to hold this out and to deny Elevate from getting back into this.
Round's over. Elevate cannot retake this objective. It would take an astronomical throw from the Knights. Juicy swings and gives one. Don't give them another.
Oh, no.
Nerix finds another. Josh outside the breach as well, now in an awkward position, but there's only 15 seconds left. Hayward comes up big, leaving Sapper to swing wide. He's not going to win that fight. The Knights take the round.
For a brief moment, though, guys, you had your tongue twisted. You're thinking, oh boy, what have I said?
I was sweating bullets.
You called it, nah, this round's over. You can't win this round. It would take an astronomical. Well, almost. Nerix found 2 quick kills and suddenly it looked possible, but yeah, for the Knights, fortunately, they were able to close out. And yeah, it was obviously a bridge too far, but nevertheless, well played from Nerix to even make it somewhat questionable. We head downstairs though. Church and Arsenal. So Cash CCTV finally won by the Knights, and again, actually has not been defended by either team every time we've gone to Cash and CCTV. Of course, not surprising to see Elevate move away from it, go downstairs, and look to regain a lead.
Can't help but shake the feeling that this match is going to end up heading to OT. Again, if you're a Knights fan, that is not a very healthy scenario, as it does limit the amount of points that they can ascertain, and they are playing catch-up, currently bottom of the standings. As well, for Elevate, they're looking to maximize and get as many points as possible as well, because they are still a chance, an outside chance at that, to still finish first. They could finish first, despite being a couple of points behind Invictus. A lot of different results that need to shape up for that to come into fruition, but a lot on the line here, and every single point matters.
Yeah, definitely, and obviously for Elevate, knowing that Invictus versus Chiefs will be playing after this game, if you win and get all 3 points here, you know that one of the 2 teams above you, either Chiefs or Invictus, are going to drop points. So then going into that final Playday, you can, you know, rest a little bit easier, knowing, of course, they're going to be playing Invictus in that final Playday as well. So they too desperately want to get all 3 points to put themselves at ease, but the Knights definitely, maybe you'd have to say, need it more though. Are they going to take it? That's the question. Can they find a way to will themselves over the finish line? It's 4-4, and it kind of feels like 1st to 6 is going to be the winner, even though they won't be. At least they can guarantee themselves an OT position at minimum, but also guarantee themselves 3 points, potentially.
Pretty routine here from the Knights so far. No extensive roam from Elevate. In the first half, we saw a really interesting innovation from the Knights. Very aggressive up above and a lot of time wasted. In fact, by the time Elevate had cleared it, there was only 30 seconds left. But with a minute 50 still available, we can see the Knights already working some of these key hatches, which have been electrified with the Kaid Electro clause. But of course, Juicy can counter that. And elsewhere, the Habana is trying to get Kitchen open. Those Habanas, those ex-Kairos rather, did detonate. I believe the claw was a little bit too slow. Hatch not quite open just yet. the Knights still with a little bit of work to do.
Yeah, still got a bit of time though. Minute 25 seconds remaining. Napier sitting inside of that church position, triple wall. Has that mirror window still to look through. Moto Hatch may be the play here for the Knights. Juicy's going to drone it out and drone through into church as well. And a lot of the emphasis in terms of the positioning here by the Knights will suggest a Moto drop, and I'll be praying from there. Cheeky angle there from Hayward, but not going to find...
Hayward with a grenade. Oh, gets caught there by an ADS device. That could have been a big opener for the attack, but it's not meant to be. 45 seconds left on the board, and Sage will deploy Summer on that church wall. Panics, misses the second. As that player behind that reinforced wall poses a threat. It's Napier looking to find a kill on a Geary elsewhere. Does find his. As Juicy sends it in deep. The support player goes big. Josh as well over towards Schmed. Finds one as well. Swings doesn't find that one though as Sapper to shut that down. It's a 2 versus 2. DCH in blue, though, brings it back.
Yeah, now it makes it a 2 versus 2, but Dino's down, so Sage needs to go for the revive to actually make that 2v2 proposition a reality. Has done so, but Dino's low on health. Sapper takes a little bit of a hit, but there's not much time. 10 seconds left. Diffuser needs to be going down very shortly here. DCH, though, is only sending Dino down. No Diffusers going down. DCH finds 2, and Elevate regain the lead.
A really gritty defense there from Elevate. Again, they didn't have the roam to lean into, so they couldn't play with the clock in their favor as much as they probably would have liked, particularly in comparison to some of the other objectives here on Clubhouse. But they were able to recover from that aggression. The Knights, they saw that window of opportunity to send it in towards the site, but unfortunately for them, Blue, still held by the defense, was really the part of the map that cost them. So much of that defense could rely on holding that position and could just nail them one by one by one. Oh, I still can't shake that OT feeling though. Back to CC Cash, the Knights with a chance to bring it back.
Yeah, obviously this the site, right, where you kind of have to back in the Knights, but I'm a pessimistic at heart, guys. This is where I feel like surely at some point you have to say this site's going to be defended successfully. That we're now going onto this site for the 5th time. Surely the 5th time is the charm for Elevate to successfully defend Cash CCTV. It's not as if Knights really did anything that amazing either. I think if anything, when we break down that previous round defensively for Elevate on Cash CCTV, on Agiri, probably somewhat aggressive on that Rafters position to be prone peeking like that, which allowed the Knights to get the opening pick and to slowly work their way through that top Rafters position.
I'm not entirely sure who took this tactical. I'm not sure if you heard. I assume it was
believe
Knights.
It's the Knights.
You would assume so. Yeah, confirmation received. Oh. Need to take a breath. A big round this. If Elevate are able to win, OT is locked in, and that will have big ramifications.
Means Knights can't get 3.
Oh.
So realistically, Knights can't lose a round from here.
Defenders,
I'm going to get Dev to do the math in the background. Hopefully he's around to crunch the numbers and work out just how slim Knights' chances will be if they only get 2 points through an OT victory in this matchup.
The last time I tried to get Dev to do some work in the background, he said no.
Well, he already did it for me, so that's
yeah. He obviously likes you better.
Healthy working relationship.
Yeah.
Colorcasters looking out for each other. He says the Knights need to win to stay in running for the top 4. So we're going to run on the premise that 3 points is really good. 2 points, eh. And looking at the standings at the moment, if they do get 2 points, then they're still equal last. They're still a couple of points away from breaking into the top 4.
What about
I would
XI?
assume that even if they win 3 points, in the next Playday, they need results to go their way. And they may even need results to go their way if they win 3 points in this matchup. So a lot of different scenarios for the Knights to play out. But again, the focus on this round is Elevate. If they win this round, head it to OT, that has a big ripple effect throughout the entire standings.
Yeah, and for the Knights, the other question as well is, you know, 6 Invitational. And is there an opportunity for them to sort of miss out here if they finish last or if they finish second last, or, you know, what position do they really need? So even if they don't make top 4, maybe 5th or 6th still helps out in that regard. So Obviously a lot on the line, a lot to unpack here, but the Knights, plain and simple, need to start winning their rounds here because Elevate have put themselves into a commanding position into this 10th round, up 5-4 on Aguirre, top rafter again. Not expecting him to be as aggressive, especially down prone. If you're going to peek, probably want to be crouched instead.
Attackers have dropped the bomb diffuser.
Onigiri peeked so aggressively on their last attempt, threw away his life quite early, not having much of an impact. Can he find some kills this time? Flashes rain out, but he manages to avoid them. The Knights looking to probably back that up with some grenades from Hayward. Let's see what they can pull off.
Elevate not electing to basically help out Onigiri here at all, and it's going to really hinder them now, especially after losing TCH to Sage. No pressure in that lounge position from Elevate. Everyone up above. Onigiri just literally left on an island. Top Red, Cash, and Con control for the 3 remaining players of Elevate, and this is going to allow, once again, Deja Vu. Knights are going to get full rafters controlled. They've already got Kennel's Wall. They can go for the plant, but they can at least still try and rely on Nerix with a Nitrocell to maybe deny on the Malusi. Not from Con, though.
Might be one of the last times we see a Malusi with a C4 if the next patch goes through and it gets traded for a bulletproof camera, but that's a discussion for another day. 50 seconds now left on the board as the Knights have control of Garage. Entry point created with the X-Kairos detonating on that garage wall into the objective. Dino with the diffuser in hand looking to stick. Sapper has 3 gas babes available. Nerix swings and finds 1. Could that be the turning point?
At least puts a bit of pressure here on the Knights that, you know, that CC window is not going to be covered. That there's a chance Nerix could even, you know, jump through Con, throw a Nitrocell through that CC window and deny. Never mind, Napier's just going to get the kill onto Dino anyway. Suddenly it's falling apart for the Knights. Josh has been eliminated by Juicy. The team kill at the worst possible time. Juicy's now taking so much damage. He finds 1 back. Sapper, no, with the shotgun. Now leaves Hayward in a 1 versus 2 with no time. It is absolutely a capitulation from the Knights. Elevate will hold on successfully here on Cash and CCTV for the first time. A team in this match is able to do it on the defense, and it also means the Knights can no longer get all 3 points.
There's never a good time for a team kill, but that might be a team kill that potentially costs Knights a position at 6 Invitational. Their chances of making it, if they do not finish in the top 8 of APAC this stage, are so incredibly slim. I think it's been bolstered a little bit because of some of the results in other regions. It sits in like the 20% region at the moment. But they really needed 3 points in this game. 2 is great, but it might not be enough to get them in the top 4, which is subsequently top 8 APAC. So that round there, it's a big call, but could stop them from reaching 6 Invitational. That is really, really critical.
And remembering, Knights will be playing Direwolves in Playday 7. Direwolves will need to win, Guz, to make top 4. They will literally need all 3 points. They have a lot to fight for in Playday 7. If Knights lose this here, in this round, or the round after, and they don't get anything from this game, there's not much to really fight for besides maybe trying to go up from 8th to 6th or 7th. That would be it. That's not a whole lot. Now, obviously, a lot of it then comes down to SI, and I'm sure after tonight we will do the calculations going into Playday 7, but this is an awful, awful position. They still have a lot to fight for, though, right? If they can send this to OT, find 2 points, would put them on 7, and then with 1 play day to go, there's a chance, you know, they could finish 5th or 6th at minimum. That's not too bad. That's something.
If the Knights win this in overtime, then they'll need a regulation win.
Plus other results.
Plus Q confirmed to lose to Wildcard. And Wildcard are already chalked mentally. They're already confirmed for allegations. So, they're in a really, really, really bad spot at the moment. But there's still some light at the end of the tunnel. They need to win the next 2 rounds. Though if they don't, as you mentioned, they 100% cannot make the playoffs regardless of how the rest of the stage plays out. So the next 2 rounds are the 2 biggest that they have probably played all year.
I think even the last round was actually one of the bigger ones too, right? Like that was a test already because they needed to deny Elevate this match point and they failed in that particular round, even after somewhat of a decent start. Hayward finds the pick onto Onigiri. That's at least something early for the Knights. That can maybe just release the pressure valve that is by far and away turned to the fullest here into this match. Opening pick established early, just under 2 minutes remaining. A lot of time, still need to deal with the player inside of Cash, and Nerix as well around those red stairs.
Flashbang's used over towards top red, but Nerix has already vacated that position. In fact, Cash is a ghost town as well. Con 2. Elevate have done a great job here. A minute 30 left, and players are rotating back towards site safely at main stairs. Now the Knights need to be careful, still drone ahead, make sure that it is clear. They don't have, they're not privy to the overhead view that we have, the outlines, which is so helpful in seeing these positions. They don't know. They need to drone ahead, make sure it is clear, establish a foothold, and then begin to apply pressure elsewhere. It's a pretty 50-50 round so far.
Since finding that opening pick, though, it has stalled out a little bit for the Knights. Nerix inside of logistics
A bomb has been
could
located.
find a pick, has the Nitrocell if he really wants to get greedy. You can see him probably at some point maybe going for a throw up that logistics hatch and trying to find a pick on the Juicy. DCH gets caught, so does Napier, and suddenly it's all going the way of the Knights. And you start to wonder, maybe as a Knights fan sitting back, you're like, why couldn't they do this in the round prior? But it doesn't work out that way usually in Siege. Those are many, many mysteries, and Nerix gets caught with the Nitrocell in his hand. Sapper goes for a late round swing at Jacuzzi Wall. Knights were flawless in that round, but they've been nothing but flawless. Really in this match, they've been whatever the anti of flawless is, Guz. It's been messy.
Yeah, it's been an imperfect result is how I would describe it, but that can go for both teams. It has been very much a back and forth matchup, and Elevate, I feel like we haven't really shone the spotlight on them too much. Again, that's because their position in the standings is a lot more fortified. Their position at SI as well is almost guaranteed at this point. So the stakes for them in this matchup, yes, they're still really high because they really desperately want to try and make the major, but probably not quite the same as the Knights. So, I mean, honing in on them, they've been playing super well so far. I've been loving that explosive aggression. In the late round, they've looked really, really comfortable. And they haven't actually had to, particularly in the defenses, I haven't felt like they've gone for these stupidly crazy extensions like we saw maybe a little bit more from the Knights, right? Basement was very stock standard based on their operator lineup here. I'm expecting maybe the same, but we'll have to wait and see. And even on that previous round, right, they had the extension set up over towards Cash, but they were really comfortable just falling back. And maybe that's something that a lot of teams can learn from. It often feels like teams desperately want to hold down a position as long as possible, play for their lives, but Elevate kind of adopting the mantra of, hey, let's just waste time, fall back, and really lean into our late round prowess, which has been great so far.
So final round of regulation in this match.
10 seconds left before insertion.
We deemed it would be a close one. It's played out that way. It has not
5 seconds
disappointed
remaining.
these two teams, these two champions, going toe to toe. Elevate had an absolute flawless middle run here from round 6 to 10. Knights started well. They were up 3-1. It looked like it was going to be their sort of match. They were winning everything but cash and CCTV. But this second half has most definitely been Elevate's half. Can that make it? Can they make it Elevate's map though and win 7-5, get all 3 points and put them in that #1 position temporarily?
And it does also open up a small window of opportunity for them to finish first and head straight to Sweden. But that is very dependent on Chiefs and Invictus matchup to come out, look, to proceed this match rather, to follow very closely. So a lot on the line here in Elevate, desperately looking for that regulation win. Knights attacking basement, going for a roam clear. They've brought the Lion. I'm liking that. We'll have to see whether or not they can shut down the likes of Sapper and Onigiri off site. Napier as well over towards Strip.
E1D deployed by Josh. It's a nice and early one to at least help establish a bit of a foothold inside a con and can sweep top down very quickly. Time, of course, important. Oh, they're going to catch Sapper. Big start here for the Knights in this ultimate round. Juicy can finish up with this Jacuzzi Wall. Of course, it is Church Arsenal, but at least means this top floor has been cleared by the Knights and they can get to work with creating these sightlines and opening up this kitchen hatch, moto hatch, etc. For Elevate, it's just all about now sending it back downstairs.
Has an APU been drone though? I think Sage had one over towards bathroom. You can see it top of screen now, went from left to right, went straight past. Josh is inside of bar. He looks like he feels pretty safe. In fact, he's already progressed over towards lounge. Oh, this play went stoop. It's Sage, could get caught off, but Napier is so patient.
Oh, he's gonna get him. Easy kill from Napier. He might find a second one as well.
Oh, he whiffed.
And he stays alive though, at the very least. That's something. He's still up. He's still walking around. 40 seconds left, and that just puts a spanner. They've lost Sage, they've lost the Heart Breach. They've only got, well, actually they've got 2 more, never mind, forget me. Doesn't matter about losing the Ace when you've still got the Maverick and the Hibana to open up whatever hatches remain, which currently are actually both of them, guys, with only 30 seconds left.
Dino dedicated to the flank watch, now needs to move down towards the objective. Hayward kicks things off onto Onigiri. That leaves 2 on site. Napier needs to go big, but he's so low on HP.
They don't have time to open up these hatches, even though they brought 3 hard breaches to the round. 12 seconds left. It's going to be that main stairs push now. They're going to go for this church plant. Nerek's inside of blue. Does he get pinched by that player? I think it was Josh coming downstairs. There is no time left. Juicy must get this plant to be successful. He does just that. 2 versus 3. Knights have the advantage. Napew's very low on the vigil. He pushes into Arsenal. Can he find an early pick to maybe establish a 2 versus 2? Doesn't do that just yet. And suddenly the Knights looking pretty good to make this an OT match.
Only 5 seconds left, and it's surely done from here. Napier, the only one left, does find a pick. Surely will be traded. The timer continues to tick down. It's Knights' round to lose. If they manage to close it out, we'll head to overtime as Napier stalls out. He knows he's not going to be able to win this one. Dino to close things out. OT secured for the Knights.
1 point secured for the Knights. It also means that neither of these two can get all 3 points, something that we have been harping on about, Guz, all match long. It is absolutely as tense as it can be. If you want any sort of semblance of good news for Elevate, right now, as it stands, they are in 2nd place overall for Stage 3 standings on 10 points. Can they go to 11 points, tying Invictus Gaming? And a much-needed timeout has been taken by Elevate Tactical, of course. For the Knights, it puts them on 6 points, Guz, but they need to get to 7 if they are going to stand any chance of making top 4.
Oh, the Tactical from Elevate. Hindsight 2020, but maybe they should have taken that before the previous round and been able to close this one out in regulation. But as I mentioned, hindsight's always clearer than foresight. So they'll look back at this moment and maybe regret that decision. But nonetheless, taking it now offers an opportunity to reset. They're heading in to the defense. And for the most part, their defensive setups have actually looked quite strong. Unfortunately, though, in that last round, just overwhelmed a little bit. I think the Knights just outclassing them for probably the first time in this matchup, or the first in only a few occasions where they actually have outclassed Elevate in that late round.
Just a reminder for those who have maybe gotten a little caught up in this match and wondering maybe what's after this. Of course, we've still got Chiefs versus Invictus Gaming after this one, guys. The battle.
I thought that game was going to be good.
The battle of 1 and 2 to play out after this. Although technically no longer 1 and 2, 1 and 3, as Elevate have, of course, pushed above the Chiefs with this current result. CCTV and Cash has been the site of contention here on Clubhouse, guys, and for the Knights, can they find a way here on the attack to take it once again, as they did back in round 8? They, of course, though, were the only team to technically fail on the attack of Cash and CCTV so far. So they're 1-1. It's not really like a given for them exactly as it was for Elevate when they were attacking this site.
Could you imagine a scenario, right? If Elevate win this, they go to 11 points. That's equal with Invictus. Now, if Invictus beat the Chiefs, they go to 14, which means in the final Playday, guess who we've got? Elevate and Invictus. And remember what happened last stage in the final Playday? Elevate lost against Invictus, different circumstances, but they lost first place
Wait, that
and then
also-
got knocked out of the major.
That also means here, if Elevate lose in OT, Invictus can actually lock up top spot tonight with a 3-point win. Because they'll be on 14 points, Elevate will be on 10.
If Elevate lose an OT, yeah.
And of course, IG would be beating Chiefs in that equation, right? So that also, you know, yeah. There you go. There's another storyline to add
Just
to
when you
the
think the
pile.
stakes can't get any higher, they just continue to.
So Elevate must win here in OT if they are to still finish in that top spot.
Assuming Invictus beat Chiefs, yeah.
Well, yeah, assuming that, yeah. And a good start, though, for the Knights. Josh finds the opening pick onto Onigiri, which has somewhat become a bit of a trend, guys, in this match. Onigiri has been picked quite a few times early on in these rounds.
Darren's definitely proving to be a tough position to hold, not only for him, but the Knights as well on their efforts on this particular objective. Now leaves us in the 5-4. Juicy desperately tries to open up the wall, at least get it soft. Manages that, and Josh will be able to open that up with the lifeline. Half the round to go. The Knights already with con control, but with players like Nerix on the roam, they need to be careful.
Hey, with the nade, it's perfect. Follows it up with the headshot onto DCH as well. Knights just pulling away here in this first overtime round to establish an OT match point. Nerix pushes up top red. Hayward watches. 3 perfect kills and a perfect round for the Knights. They have overtime match point secured. And for Elevate, just maybe could be missing out on that top spot, of course, depending on what happens in the match to follow. Wow, what a turnaround.
Elevate with 2 more chances, or Knights rather, with 2 more chances to keep their stage alive and potentially their hopes of reaching the 6th Invitational alive as well.
They were gone. I thought they were dead and buried, cuz. But
Really
they keep
dug deep.
fighting. They keep fighting. 3 attacking rounds in a row on Clubhouse. 3 attacking rounds in a row. And on all 3 sites, Gym Bedroom, Church Arsenal, and Cash CCTV. Boy, does that say a lot about this Knights team. And the eagerness to win. Even when they can't get 3 points and you think maybe they might throw it all in, they just fight even harder for 2 points and for an opportunity. For Elevate, they need to wrestle back momentum. They've already taken their tactical timeout. And they will be heading to Gym Bedroom, the Knights, to see if they can close this wonderful match.
10 seconds.
If
to go.
Knights win the next round, the Chiefs could find themselves in a very favorable position. If the Chiefs beat Invictus in regulation, their fate will be in their own hands. They'll need to just beat Order in that final play day, and they will go straight to Sweden. So this is a big, big round, not only for these 2 teams, but particularly Invictus and Chiefs as well, with so much on the line. Now we focus in on this particular round. It is a gym defense here from the Knights, and a pretty standard lineup to what we've come to expect so far. Allah may be the only one that stands out as being a little bit extrinsic, but Juicy so far has been absolutely popping off. And for the longest time, he was actually top fragging for the Knights, and that's not a statistic you regularly see. Juicy normally fulfilling a really hard support role, but you know, he's really stepped up in this match.
Yeah, and I want to highlight a player who has stepped up significantly. It's Josh. He was 1-6, guys, when I sort of called him out a little bit, saying that, you know, he's the kind of player you look to for the Knights to, if you know, they're going to do well, he's usually part of that. Since then, he's gone 11-4 and has really stepped up and been an instrumental player in helping the Knights achieve this overtime match point. Elevate on the attack though, they were very proficient in the opening half. They took 3 rounds, all of which were on Cash and CCTV. That in itself though is the problem. We are not on Cash and CCTV, Gus.
CC opened up, and that means that Dino will be under pressure soon. Inside of Cash, this is a position that he has held on multiple occasions with varying success, but for the most part, it has been very, very strong. And we have seen some adaptations from Elevate to clear this, namely Onigiri down below with grenades. Now, he is playing the Thinker on this occasion, but he is inside of Garage. Dino, I think, is in an even better position than last time he attempted this.
Yeah, and just keep an eye on the time here as well. Only a minute 5 seconds left. Napew pushing up main stairs, trying to establish a bit of control. Maybe some sort of a pinch here. Dino inside of Cash, still not flushed out. And using that mirror. Window loses the fight though to Onigiri, even with the window to his advantage. Josh forced down that con hatch. Now he has to rotate down below. Sage on site. Still, at least for the Knights, they've got that presence on the site. Plus, they've got a couple of players that can flank late round.
Josh has decided not to go towards main stairs. Probably wise, considering it has been cut off by Napew, but he needs to eventually create something here, make something out of nothing on that roam. 30 seconds left, Elevate will drone site. Logi clear, Nerix will call that out. Time continues to tick down. Elevate in a decent position with the man advantage, but I think the clock could cost them.
It very well could. Cross mats as well. No adrenal surges, by the way. Napew finds the pick on the Juicy. Makes it a 5 versus 3. Sapper now makes it a 5 versus 2. But the time, the flank, Josh, he's not able to find really what he's looking for. Only got the down on Onigiri. Napew's low. But that plant now from DCH, he got off it! He got off the plant! Why? Why? I'm absolutely stunned! Knights, they get 8-6! In one of the best games of Siege that we've had this stage for APAC South. A bit of a crazy ending, Guz, but nonetheless, what a match. 2 points to the Knights, 1 to Elevate.